Welcome to Degenerate Data. So, going to break down the slate today. 13 games overall for NHL. And then at the end, we're going to do a recap and we're going to take a look at some of my favorites for NFL tomorrow. All right, without further ado, let's get to it. Starting at the top. Pittsburgh at New Jersey. It's going to be Artur Silovs versus, I do believe, it's Jacob Markstrom, unconfirmed so far, but it looks like he will get the start. He's supposed to be the number one goalie, but he's not been very good. Giving up around 4 a game. And Silovs, he's been very good for this Pittsburgh team so far. Hasn't been giving up too much. Been pretty good. When we take a look at their... Here we go. On the road, 5-3-1. Been very good so far. Total record 9-4-2. 6-0 at home for New Jersey so far this year. They've been pretty stout. This is a game that I don't think there's going to be a ton of goals in it, but the big guys are probably going to eat at home, strictly based off of top line. Normally gets favored, more ice time, power play opportunities. Should lead to more bigger plays for guys like Bratt, Jack Hughes, and maybe even some secondary looks from guys like Nico Hischier and Dawson Mercer. I think that's probably the way I'm leaning right here. Over-under set at 6.5 because both of these teams are very capable of scoring early on and pretty much whenever. Been very surprising, a pretty big change of pace from last year, where New Jersey, they were a very stout defensive team and didn't put up a ton of goals in general. You know, there was just enough to kind of sneak you out with the occasional, they put up 5-6 goals, maybe like once every other week. But Pittsburgh's been very surprising in all facets. I mean, their goaltending was putrid last year. Their defense was awful. I mean, that's completely changed around for them. So this game could kind of go either way. I can see it being a little more of an under game just because of, New Jersey. They are a little bit better at home. Their top guys, they obviously will play better at home. Coming off a little bit of a disappointing road trip for them. So I can see where, guys like I said, Bratt and Hughes, they could probably get going. I think that's probably for the best there. Take a look at that game. Prop Finder has its own version of how they grade. Can't look too much into that. Kind of take it with a grain of salt. Go by, what does the matchup say so far this year? And right now it's looking like New Jersey gives up a decent bit to the defensemen. Pittsburgh gives up to the wingers. So you got your guys like Sidney Crosby right here. Take a look. He's 3 for 4 overall against them. This is dating back only to last year. They have not played against each other this year so far. Pretty substantial turnover for the most part for the Pittsburgh team. Playing a lot of young guys who've been really, jiving really well. So look for them to kind of keep that going. Named Ben Kendall. We played him for the Discord the other day. He did extremely well. Ended up with 2 points. Playing top line and that top power play. That gives them plenty of opportunities to get going. But like I said, this is a New Jersey team. They're very good at home. They're undefeated at home. So not exactly a look where I'd want to, really test, how good is Pittsburgh offensively. They've been, obviously much better this year, but I don't think I want to test New Jersey at home coming off some rest. It's just not what I'm looking for. He's probably my play. Yeah, it doesn't look like he's been, super consistent. He's just had a weird year this year, but one thing you can always say about him is he's pretty consistent at home. Like I said, been a little bit of a weird year for him, but one thing about Bratt, he always shows up when? On the weekend. That's when we always used to play him. Always comes in big time, especially on the weekend, Saturday, Sunday. And you can take a look, boom. Just take a look at that. Dude loves to play on Saturdays. That's his day of the week. He's just been outstanding. And history-wise, I mean, yeah, it's a super direct filter having at home on Saturday, but if you just take the Saturday games against Pittsburgh, he loves playing on Saturday. And, I've got no problem playing him here. Obviously, now Prop Finder rates him higher than his original, 68 that he originally presented as just an overall. And 248, considering that he's playing at home against a Pittsburgh team that's, not, I wouldn't call it, top 10 in total defense, which is, yeah, they're not. They're middle of the pack. So you're getting a reasonable price for Bratt that should probably closer to the minus 275 mark. This is pretty low, but that's just considering, obviously, he hasn't been super consistent this year. It appears that he's been, pretty good on the road. Anaheim, they've been a much better team this year. The LA Kings, they have a weirdly reasonable defense, kind of middle of the pack. And this game in particular, where we actually did take him, Jack Hughes totally blew a wide open empty net goal in which Jesper Bratt would have gotten the point on the assist, tapping it to Jack Hughes. I mean, we sat there, we all in the Discord, we couldn't believe it. So I think he's due, and this is a Montreal team that they just got done playing, rescored 2 points, reestablished his dominance, and like, hey, I can still play. Obviously, this was the last game he just had at home. He's on a couple days rest against one of the Vezina favorites. And in case you don't know what Vezina means, it's essentially the top award for the best goalie at the end of the year. And Jakub Dobish, he has been tremendous this year. And they beat him in a thrilling overtime game where Jesper Bratt actually scored the overtime goal. I really do think this is a good look for him. He's going to look to build upon that last home performance. And judging by his overall history, I think he's in a pretty good spot to do it. Like I say, he loves to play on Saturdays. So I think it's a pretty good look overall. All right. I really don't like anybody else for this game. I mean, you could show the alternates. You probably got Jack Hughes somewhere, but I'm not a big Jack Hughes fan today. I'm not really interested in playing a guy, at minus 300 or more. I mean, at that point, you've pretty much got to put him in a, oh my God. Yeah, I'm never mind. I'm not interested in playing a guy that is, minus 400 or more. I mean, yeah, he's been pretty good. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, I can't validate playing it at that price, and he's been, less consistent than Jesper Bratt has in terms of, overall scoring points on Saturdays. Like, yeah, he'll give you your occasional blow up game, but considering the matchup that he has compared to a guy like Bratt, where, they're giving up more points to the wingers than the center position, I think the value is much better to be had in Jesper Bratt today, especially when you're getting him at this price right here, where, I mean, these guys are line mates. They play power play right next to each other. They feed off of each other. So Jesper Bratt leads the league in empty net points, in the last few years. So that's also another look you have to consider. Coming off an overtime victory where he stole the puck, scored the goal, ended the game. So you got to take a look at stuff like that. I mean, I am not interested in playing Jack Salesman Hughes at minus 400. I just can't. I can't do it. So Jesper Bratt, definitely taking him for this game right here. I think it's a great look. We'll go to Ottawa at Philadelphia. Both of these teams, I mean, what can you say, man? I mean, these guys have been complete toss-ups. Much better than they were last year, I will say that. Much, much better. Philadelphia, much better defensive team than they were a year ago. Cannot say the same about Ottawa. Ottawa, they give up goals. They cannot figure out that goaltending issue that they have between Linus Ullmark, I mean, he's an older guy, late 30s, and Levi Merilainen. He's been serviceable, but not great. And, you get a team that in the Philadelphia, especially when they play at home, where they fly all over the ice. I mean, and this is another team where these guys' lines will change just about every game. I mean, there's no semblance of consistency. You'll see Noah Cates. I mean, he was top line a week ago. Check out Philadelphia. Now look at this. Now Couturier was line 1 just a game ago. Cates was line 2. And then Cates was also line 1 2 weeks ago. Michkov was line 3. So this is a team where they shuffle the lines very frequently. Konechny, I mean, he's normally on line 1. I mean, this is like musical chairs. So you don't truly know what you're getting out of this game, especially with these lineups. I mean, you just got to take the guys that have been consistent at home. The power play 1 has been reasonably strong. So you get a team that, yeah, they're playing musical chairs with their lines, but who's been doing well at home? And for me, this guy right here. He has been spectacular since the start of the year. At home, he's been brilliant. I mean, he is the epitome of consistency at home. I wouldn't worry too much about this. Like I said, last year, they were an awful team. They had no idea what they were doing. Had a terrible head coach with a rough attitude. This year is all I'm focusing on. So head-to-head doesn't really play a true role in what I'm looking at right here. Against Calgary, I mean, they had, one of their better games. As far as Calgary had one of their better games. And, you never know what you're going to get out of them. I mean, they're mostly cold for the most part, but they've kind of hit a stride a little bit. Obviously, they just got shut out last night, so it's just been weird. But I really like to target guys that are very good on the top line at home. Now you got right here. I mean, look at that. I mean, it's green like a Christmas tree. I mean, the guy just loves playing at home, no matter where he's at. So he's 8 out of 10. He's got a 1.2 average. Nashville, he had 3. New York Islanders, he had 3. What does that tell you? He plays good against terrible teams. All right, who do they have in the net today? Linus Ullmark, who's been statistically one of the worst goalies that we've ever seen this year. So let's pull up our goalies. And let's find... Oh my God. So, goal save above expected, he is almost -10. I mean, this is atrocious. I mean, my goodness. I mean, this is essentially saying that he's missing gimmies on a regular basis. I mean, there's no way around that. I mean, goals allowed on average, almost 3.5. I mean, this is terrible. Yeah, good spot to target. I don't think this is one of those games where you just can't think too much about it. You've got to see the data in front of you. You've got to see how bad they've been overall. Let's take a look here. Yeah, they're 2-3-2 on the road. Philadelphia is 6-3 at home. I mean, there's nothing to think about. You just got to do it. You just gotta see that information. Boom, got to do it. And normally I put the guys that are in the early games together. And full disclosure, I did give this pair to the Discord. We're running them up to 2+. Obviously, early games kind of a tendency to go either way. They'll either be super high scoring or the game ends 1-0. So I think that this is a great way to kick off the day. 2 guys that really portray consistency at home. Like I said, Brat's weekend player, and Zegras, he's just a home guy. He loves playing at home. So definitely love that pair here. As far as everybody else, I mean, it's super hard to really get a grasp on, who can you play for Philadelphia, just because they move their lines so much. But Zegras, he doesn't move much at all. He's normally on line 1, line 2, always on power play 1. So he's the guy that I'm going to say, like, okay, I can live with the fact that, if the top line doesn't score, it was probably a low scoring game for them at home. This is going to be an interesting one right here. Dallas at Nashville. I want to say Jussi Saros should be in the net for them. Both of these guys unconfirmed. But here's the shocking aspect of Jake Ottinger over the past few years. He's really been a stud, a real Top Gun guy. He wasn't allowing more than 3 goals a game on average last year. This year, this is a little untelling, considering that he just gave up 5+ to Anaheim last game. And Anaheim, they have come alive. The Ducks are no longer the laughingstock of the league. They have come alive. Jake Ottinger has been anything other than sharp. I mean, he's been rough. I mean, I don't even truly know if they're going to play him today. I mean, he is their workhorse. So if I had to take a guess on who was going to play, I would have to say they'd probably put Ottinger in the net. You say he's been about the same. You know, the records, they've been playing about the same with each other. You know, extremely similar numbers. The only difference is, you know, you say doesn't have a shutout because he doesn't have a team that, you know, is good enough in front of him to help kind of mitigate some of those extra goalies. Or extra goals, excuse me. So these guys have been playing about the same. I can see this game going over. I can see this being a 6.5. Yeah, I can see this being a 6.5, 7-goal game. I think Dallas will sneak this one out. Nashville, you know, even at home where they've been better, they've just not been good enough. I can see this being where, you know, Dallas really looks to capitalize off of a rough home loss that they suffered by the Ducks last game. I mean, the Ducks have been surprising, you know, very surprising. You know, all their young talent, they push to the front, allowing them to play, get chemistry. And I really do like what I've seen from them so far. I mean, and they exposed this Dallas team last game. I mean, it wasn't even close. I mean, they looked unreal. I mean, they looked like a team that could score 100 points by the end of the year. So I do like this game on the side of Dallas. I do think that there is value to be had here. And you know, it's got Jason Robertson graded as the highest available player to score a point. And they give up a ton to wingers right here. So they give up the most points in the league to wingers. So I can see why, well, to left wing specifically, I can see why they would have marked him as high as they did. He's 3 of 5 against them. So essentially every other game, he's putting up a nice game. One thing about Dallas too, that they definitely shuffle their lines. Not nearly as much as Philadelphia, where there's complete change up and down the lineup. They normally just kind of interchange their top 6 guys. Rupe, he played line 2 last game, and Wyatt Johnston played on the top line, centering those Mikko and Jason Robertson. So, and we actually took Wyatt Johnston. He went nuts last game. So it was a great spot for us to take him, and he definitely paid us off. That's the one thing about Robo, though. He can be a little inconsistent. He's been pretty good so far these past few games. It's a good spot for him to kind of, you know, pick things back up where, you know, Dallas got soundly handed a defeat by Anaheim. He's been pretty good on the road. He's 4 of 6. Last 2 of 3 he's hit against Nashville. In Nashville, they're really searching for answers. I mean, you had Ryan O'Reilly in the locker room crying because he couldn't figure out, you know, why they were playing as bad as they were. So I do think this is a get-right game for Dallas where they can put up, you know, potentially 5 goals. So I think that's a good spot to target here. You know, Mikko, obviously, like I said earlier, I'm not really interested in playing guys at -300 or more unless I'm putting them maybe in a trio with somebody else. You know, the matchup isn't quite as nice as it is for Robo, and this 0.3 does mean something, believe it or not. When you take a look at over the course of the year, they're targeting a guy that's -300 compared to -215. And when you take a look at the games, here's why. 86% of games so far this year he's hit. They played in the same amount of games, 64%. Big thing here is that Mikko doesn't come off the top line, no matter what. He's going to stay top line. Jason, he's been bouncing back and forth between line 1, line 2. He even spent a game on line 3. So his spot is a little more in jeopardy compared to, you know, a guy like Mikko, where he's not coming off the top line. And sometimes he'll even go double shifts. So that's what this is accounting for. So, I mean, if we could find a guy for a trio here that we really liked, you know, we could definitely run with that. But if I'm going to, you know, really pick a guy for the value and for, you know, where he's currently at is Wyatt Johnston, because he, not only is he top line centering with Mikko Rantanen on his right, he's also on top power play. He takes the face-offs. So I think here he's in a pretty good spot to, one, secure his value at, you know, below a minus 200 as compared to Jason Robertson, where, you know, obviously he's got good history against them, and so that's what they're accounting for. But Robertson is not on the top line today, if I remember correctly. No. So he's back on line 2 with Sagan, Hintz. Rupe normally plays line 1, but he got hurt a few games ago. He's kind of working his way back into the lineup, but the top line did see Robo up here last game, so that's why they played extremely well together. They're more or less trying to even out this top 6 here, just so they don't front load too much, because if you put Sam Steele back here, you know, they really don't have a lot of chemistry together. So you're kind of banking on these two guys, you know, to do what they do. I mean, and these back 6 guys, I mean, you can barely call them serviceable. You know, they're not very good. Ducks are a piss nuke for me tonight. We're going to get to that game, and I'll see if I can confirm that for you or not. But Anaheim has been tremendous so far. I really do like them. So if I had to pick one so far, I'd probably go with Wyatt, only because he's top line, so he's going to get more minutes on the ice than any other line. He centers with Mikko, and he's also taking face-offs on power play 1 with everybody else. So probably lean this way. And that'll probably be my only play from that game. You know, I really do like the look for that. I can go ahead and tell you right now, I'm not interested in Washington at Tampa Bay. You've got your stud playing in Logan Thompson, who's not even allowing 2 goals a game just about. And then they got Vasilevsky. He did get confirmed in the net. He has not been himself this year. Been a little bit better at home. Yeah, they're 3-3, so they're mid at home. They're 3-2-1. They're mid on the road. Now, I'm not really looking to target 2 mid teams that aren't even projected to really go over. So I'll probably just leave it at that, as in, like, hey, you know, could be a good game, probably not going to be a good game. So, I mean, you can see against the spread, they're 0-6 at home, as in they cannot capitalize normally on their minus 1.5. They're mid on the road at capitalizing their plus 1.5. So this is going to be a tighter game. And, you know, we look to specifically target guys that are, you know, have the upside of potentially exploding. And this is not exactly a game where I would consider that to be a reasonable possibility. So we're just going to avoid it. Same thing for this one. Both of these teams played yesterday. New York Rangers, they have now extended their streak. They are now 7-1-1 on the road. But at home, they have yet to collect a win. Like, they are winless at home. Insane. New York Islanders, they just can't seem to find anything super consistent. Horvat, he did cash for us yesterday. So that was a big time win for us. We had Schaefer in that game as well. He was just out-touched on one of the goals. I mean, he was active, though. He had a few spots where he, you know, almost put it in the net. But, you know, just good defensive play by the goalie. You know, was able to kick it out a few times. Yeah, I'm just not interested at all in this game. I mean, when you have a team that has yet to win at home and they cannot even put up 2 goals a game at home, I'm going to trust the numbers in this one, and we're going to leave it alone. This game right here, just due to some of the news that we got, has my attention. So Joey Decord, the #1 goalie for Seattle, he just got ruled out that he will not be traveling with the team today. And he's a good goalie. I mean, by all accounts, a very good goalie. And now we're going to get a guy, either one of Matt Murray or Grubauer. who, I mean, by all stretch of the imagination, they're awful. You know, both of them are terrible. Unfortunately, they get a St. Louis team that they've not been very good themselves. But, you know, when you got your main guy back in, you know, Robert Thomas, who is typically, your home guy, plays very good at home. Yeah, 72% at home last year. 3 of 6 this year, but he was dealing with some injuries. That's behind him now, so not really worried about that. But this is probably a smash spot for really both sides of it. I'm probably leaning more towards the St. Louis side of things just because of Seattle looked completely hopeless and helpless against the Sharks last game. I mean, they got whooped at home. It was bad. It was 7-1. I mean, they showed no signs of life at all. And, you know, now you get a team that in Seattle who finally got one of their, their captains back. I mean, I think this has the potential to be a pretty good blow-up game for really both sides. So if I had to really narrow it down, I'm probably going with Robert Thomas. You know, not only does he have good history against them head to head, but he's also got, the numbers really last year to back it up. This year so far, he's missed games because of injury, but he's finally back. He had 2 reasonably tough, because Buffalo's not the defensive team that they were last year, in the aspect of Buffalo is definitely better all around than they were. They're just not scoring a ton of goals, which is why they're losing. So Buffalo, tougher than you think. And Washington, they had Logan Thompson in the net, and he is just a stud. I mean, he's been unbelievable so far. But I mean, you got, Edmonton, middle of the pack defensive team. Detroit, middle of the pack defensive team. Utah, a good defensive team. When you kind of take those things into account, I do like how the captain looks against a team that's really going to struggle without Joey Decord. I mean, they just gave up a ton of goals. I think that could be a good spot for him. I'm not really interested in the Seattle side of things right now. I mean, they looked completely and utterly hopeless. They're gonna. It's one of those things where they're gonna have to show me. Because I do not believe in them currently. They went a little while where they had a nice streak going on at home specifically, but I mean, no, this is just one of those that are almost impossible to play right now. And, obviously Prop Finder has these guys graded pretty high. I do not. It's got Montour graded at a 71. He's been in the 70s, almost 80s the past few games, and he didn't even put up any points at all. He's normally good for shots. Yeah, he's normally pretty good for shots. But, I mean, they've just been kind of miserable in general. So I'm going to leave that alone. Like I said, I'm going to take the top line guy. He's always involved. He's your top line. He's in your PK, which is your penalty kill for those who don't know. And he's in your top power play. So he's always on the ice against a very bad duo of goalies. I do think he has a chance to kind of get going. And you're getting him at a price where he's not even minus 200 right now. So I think that's a pretty good look for something like that. This is an interesting one because obviously I'm a Carolina fan. But this is another team in Carolina where they shuffle their lines so frequently that you never truly know who's going to be playing with who. Like, you never know. So take a look at Carolina here. Ehlers was your starting guy on the top line originally. You had Taylor Hall, who was slated to go top line last game. They changed it within the first period because it wasn't working. So, I mean, it's just musical chairs. The only thing that doesn't change are these two guys. These two guys don't change. Though this fourth line, they don't change either. But these two, they've been relatively consistent together. But normally, this top kind of 7, they rotate. Another set of musical chairs. So you got to take a couple things into consideration. Is one, the power play for Carolina is abysmal. how do they score most of their goals? They score most of them on 5v5. And when you take a look at some of the 5v5 play, your players, check out the lines, best offensive lines. Would you look at that? Some of the best 5v5 lines with percent of goals expected. You got Blake, Stankoven, and Svechnikov. So, but this is a very viable line that could happen at any point in the game. And like I said, they rotate them so much that this doesn't mean anything. How you see it presented here doesn't really mean much. The only two on the top line that don't really move are these two right here. But not even a couple games ago, Jarvis was back on line 3. So it's really just kind of taking a dart, taking a stab at it. Who do I think is going to remain the same? Aho, he's not going anywhere. He is always line 1. He will always center line 1 and center the power play and be on the PK. Everyone else is fluid. I mean, they are, unfortunately. So you can kind of take a look at the guys that have been hot, which, as much as I hate this guy, he's been better. He's definitely a better home guy this year. He's hit the last 3 games in a row. His price is currently minus 135. They've got the better of their goalies in right now in Alex Lyon. He's been okay. Nothing crazy. Yeah, 2.8 is allowing almost 3 a game. But that doesn't really give you a lot of room to, because Carolina, they're a very consistent team. They're not going to explode for 5 goals a game. They kind of give you a very tough defensive presence, and they capitalize on mistakes. Buffalo, they're not generating a ton of offense, but they're also not allowing a ton of mistakes on defense either. They're kind of just doing a lot of cardio, and that doesn't exactly give me an inkling to want to drop my currency on guys who are not really doing enough. So this is one of those games I'll probably avoid it. Svechnikov's probably going to get a point. Like I said, he's really come alive, because originally, my goodness, he was awful to start the year. Yeah, he went a whole 5 games straight where he did absolutely nothing. I mean, and you could see him he just looked completely disconnected. He didn't even want to be out there. Now he's at 3 games in a row at home. He's always been a much better player at home. So, could it be a spot for him? Yeah, but I mean, I'm not really looking to ladder someone against someone who doesn't allow a ton of goals. So, and you got Aho. I'm not interested in playing a 300 guy. It's just, they also don't grade him very high. So it's just, I'm not really interested in playing it. Not really a smash spot to target. Now, as far as money line goes, if you want to play like a game line, that's probably where you get more of your value from. But player props in this game, I'll probably stay away from. This game is going to be interesting. You're going to have the workhorse of Amelka. He's going to be in for the Utah side of things, and Sam Montembeault, the worst between the 2 goalies, is going to be in for Montreal. Montreal is a mid defensive team. They give up goals, but they put up goals. And normally these 2 teams, they can put up goals. They average around 3.5 a game together. Take a look at this matchup here. They are mid on the road, 5-4, and they are good at home at 4-1. Against the spread, they're mid, because they're not beating anyone by more than 1 point at a time. And on the road, they're also mid, which means they're only losing by 1 or so. So last 10, 7-3, last 10, 6-2, very similar metrics here, very similar. They think it's going to be around a 4-3 game, which I can see that. 4-3, 3-2 in that range can Absolutely see that. It appears most of the money is on Montreal at home, but I can see Utah coming out on the road, putting up some goals on Sam Montembeault. Sam Montembeault allowed 3 goals in the first 5 minutes of the game to start out last game, and then really held it together until overtime. I mean, most of these guys' games are going overtime. I mean, it's kind of been insane how these guys have been playing on the road, but just playing at home in general. I mean, they've really come around this year. So I think it could be a good spot for Utah. I say Utah in the way of, you've got a pretty rough goalie in Sam Montembeault. He's allowing a ton. Yeah, he's allowing nearly 4 goals a game. His save percentage is under 900. He's 3-3-1. He's about as mid as it gets, and he's not coming into it with a lot of confidence. So I don't see this being a pretty good spot for Utah to attack. I think this is going to be one of those where they come out, score 5 goals by the end of it. Maybe add a empty net goal at the end. I can see that. So for me, it's going to be a Utah day. That's where most of the value is going to be. So take a look at the top line here for Utah. And it appears we have a change. So normally it is Clayton Keller. Hayton is normally up here. Logan Cooley has been the line 2 starting center for all year. So there's got to be an injury that I'm not aware of. These 2 guys out right here. Kerfoot doesn't play with him anyway. He's a bottom 6 guy. So I guess they just felt like they needed a lineup switch. So Hayton normally on the top line. McBain has spent some time on the top line, but these 2 right here, Logan Cooley is definitely the more dynamic offensive player between these 2. Hayton's the more sound defensive player, but I guess they're really trying to generate some offense here. So I do like the look for this top line. Let's see what Keller looks like. He's right down here. He's been awful. He has been awful. They allow about 2 points a game to the left wing position. On the road, been awful. I'm not really interested in playing a guy who's currently trying to find himself. He's 3 for 9 on the year. Schmaltz has been good all year. Let's take a look at him. Much more consistent, 7 of 9. He is obviously on the top line. He does not move from that top line. Completely different team from last year, but it is good to see that he does have good history regardless. So 8 of 10 over the last 10 games. Yeah, he's 7 of 9 on the year. On Saturdays, he does seem to play well, take away the away. So he looks like he's in a good spot. Gives up just about the same, about 2 points a game to the right wing position. Then you really want to check the history of the top line guys. How do they do, against this Montreal team? He had 2 points. Jesper Bratt, top line, obviously, with Jack Hughes. Bobby Brink. He is, like I said, the musical chairs for Philadelphia. I believe Travis Konechny was that top line right wing. So he scored 2 points. Batherson, he scored 2 points. So this is probably a decent spot here where I'm going to take this one. There's consistency here enough for me to say, hey, clearly the top line guys against this defense specifically, they've got something going. So I think there's value here to be had. Yeah, still you get it under minus 200. That's a good spot. I'm going to take that. Not really interested in anybody else. I'm not playing Suzuki, against a pretty tough goalie in Vejmelka, only allowing 2.2 points a game. He is the epitome of consistency, plays well at home, but even against last year, against Vejmelka, he had his number, and really the defense for Utah has not changed really at all. It's more or less the same exact guys as last year. So yeah, I'm not interested in playing a guy, you know, at this price for that. Caulfield, he's normally good for it. At home, he's been very good. Only thing with him is he does not play empty net situations. He plays overtime. Obviously, he's got most of their wins that they went to overtime, all except one, I believe, where Lane Hudson scored the goal. He does not play on the PK, so he's very situational. If he does not get it to you 5v5 or in overtime, he's probably not going to get it for you. So it's just tough. It's just tough. You got to play him in a stack more than likely with Suzuki, and I'm not really. I'm not really feeling that against a team that they don't give up a ton. They're nearly top 10 in points given up. Top line guys. So you give 2 points to the left wing just last game, but that was a backup goalie in the net. This will tell you right here. Buffalo doesn't generate a ton of offense. They only gave up 1 assist all game. Hagel played top line last game with Jake Gensel going back to line 2. So he only scored 1 goal, and that was at the very end of the game. Edmonton right here, Henriques, that's a line 3 scoring. I want to say he was your top line guy, and he didn't get anything. And Kyle Connor, absolutely your top line guy. He only got 1 assist. So to me, it's not looking like a spot that screams, ladder me. So I'm probably going to leave that alone. But I did like the spot that Schmaltz was in, so I'm absolutely taking him here. This is going to be a good one. This is definitely a spot to target. Boston on the road, they are awful. They show no signs of life. You might as well just put a high school team in there to play, because they don't even play competent at all. Austin Matthews, obviously, he's your main top line guy. It's been hard for him to generate his own offense without William Nylander, but thankfully William Nylander, he is going to be there on that top line today. And I don't care what his price is. At home, we are taking him. We are taking him. He's minus 330. I do not care. He's one of those guys at home against a very awful Boston defense. I'm going to take him. I will find someone to pair him with. He has been tremendous. Even on weekend games. He's played 1 this year against Seattle. This was a Joey Decord game. Joey Decord, very good goalie. He got 2 points. So Saturday games in general, he's played a couple. He's scored in each one. I feel really good about him. So he's absolutely getting played. Matthews on his own, it's been harder for him to generate his own offense. Like I said, he's been getting kind of jumbled help on that top line. They've switched that left wing position around a lot, but he's been good at home, has not been great. That's why his price is a little bit low right here, minus 265 compared to Nylander, because Nylander, he's been playing double shifts here and there. Matthews will also play double shifts, but he's not nearly as dynamic as Nylander as far as skating around. He's a little more, stiff. So whenever he's not scoring goals, he's not necessarily getting you, primary assist either. So I'm not really interested in playing him at all. Nyes, I do like him a lot. I do think he is going to be back on your top line. Yep, so Nyes, Austin Matthews, and Nylander, they're all together right here. I don't see it staying like that for the duration of the game, just because this second line is not strong enough to maintain its own. This is a rough, very rough defensive second line. Your top 6 guys are obviously going to get the most ice time no matter what. And John Tavares, as good as he's been in generating offense, he has been atrocious in defensive metrics. This second line has been awful. And especially if Boston may put up a goal or 2 on them early, because they do like to give up goals early. Stolar's in the net. He's been less than stellar so far this year. I can see them bumping Nylander back, who spent the most time with Tavares. I can see this changing right here. McMahon for Nylander, or even Michelli. So I want a guy that is good rapport with both Austin Matthews and John Tavares. He's going to be, your main key right here is William Nylander. You can kind of plug him in anywhere, and he's going to generate you offense. You can't say the same for Austin Matthews. Nyes, while he is consistent, we did take him last game for a couple points. He did hit for us. Yeah, he hit us for 2 on the game that we did take him. Does have a good matchup. My goodness gracious. Okay. We may have to reconsider this. Not gonna lie. I mean, that's pretty good. So check the history of the left wing right here. Amadio, Cousins, and McDermott. So yeah, he was your top line guy a game ago. He got a goal. Palmieri, he's your top line guy. He got an assist. A few games ago, Svechnikov, so none of these guys got on the score sheet at all. Zach Benson, he does play top line with Tage and Kulik. So, okay. So not great history, but it's enough to make you consider. So I may take him for a, not at that price, I'm not. At minus 205, I don't think so. Yeah, if he was his normal price around like 165 to 180, I consider dropping him with somebody else, but I can't validate playing him at minus 205. I mean, even Austin Matthews, he's on his normal minus 300. I can't see it happening. So, William Nylander, definitely going to be our pick for this game. Love him today. And this should be a good one. This one right here. I love Marchand today. He's going against San Jose, who just played last night. Very tight game against the Winnipeg Jets, where they only allowed 1 goal to them. I do think they're going to be playing on some tired legs. Celebrini is probably good for another point. But I do think that Florida's coming in. The rest of the team, they've had a chance to kind of, get their mind right when they got they got their butt cheeks blown out by the Anaheim Ducks as well. So I think this is a very good comeback spot for them. Played them earlier this year. I say earlier this year, but it was towards the end of the year for them last year. He's got history there. Marchand's been very good for them, extremely good. See what the top line looks like now. They do a lot of rotating around that as well. Yep, so he's playing with, okay, they kept the old gang together right here. So you got Lois Storinen, Anton Lundell, Brad Marchand, all playing together. They played the third line for them in the playoffs, and they were spectacular. I mean, this line has a ton of chemistry right here. I like them a lot. So I think that, you got to take him. You got to take him. Sharks just played yesterday, played a tight game. They're going to be on tired legs tonight. Got to take my guy. I'm going to think twice. Under 200 to just under 200. That's definitely going to move. So we'll take a look at that. Not really I can't really validate playing, because if Sam Reinhart doesn't get a goal, he's not gonna score. And on the road, he's not been very good. Exactly. Is he capable of always getting you one? Yeah, I fully believe that. But just the way it's gone this year without Barkov centering that top line for him, it's been hard to come by generating his own offense. So I'm not a fan of that. Same thing with Verhaeghe. They've been consistent, but he's not been very good on the road either. Not really a spot where I can consider laddering him to do anything. He'd be a nice value pick. Yeah, about 140, so good value pick. Sam Bennett. It's not really a ladder guy. Good contributor, but he's just not a guy who's going to get you multiple points a game, unfortunately. So definitely like Marchand here. Not really going to focus on anything on the Shark side of things. Tired legs, and the Florida defense is still pretty good. But Bobrovsky's probably going to be in the net. He's been a little shaky, but good enough to where he can probably handle the Sharks offense, where they, technically speaking, score less goals at home than they do on the road. So they only managed 2 yesterday against Hellebuck, which were 2 very hard-fought goals against him. Connor Hellebuck being, arguably the best goalie in the league. So I do think we're going to see some regression from them this game. So yeah, I'm going to take Marchand. He's very highly graded today by Prop Finder, and I like him today as well. This one is going to be another good game. CBJ at Vancouver. Got Thatcher Demko, the stud of the Vancouver Canucks. He will not be in the net. He's out on injured reserve for a little while. That just happened. So CBJ has an opportunity, although they're not as good on the road as they are at home. They have an opportunity to really capitalize here, and I can see that top line. I can absolutely see them making some noise tonight. Yep, Monahan is back in the lineup. He was injured. That's why he's got some player notes right here. They've got Voronkov here. So yeah, I think that there is a big opportunity for there to be some noise tonight, because he's probably going to see this team is probably going to see Lankinen, and Lankinen has not been very good. Not been very good at all. And like I said, Joey DeCourty's already been ruled out. Don't even worry about him. So yep, Kevin Lankinen, we are going to see him. Not been very good. So yeah, he's 2-4, allowing 4 goals a game. Save percentage, he's under 900, and typically that's the base standard is a 900 save percentage or above. He's been under that. Elvis, this number is kind of deceiving. He gives up the worst goals at the worst times, so that's why he's about 3 right here. But I can definitely see a game where he really rises to the occasion today against a lacking Vancouver offense. I really do like Columbus side of things, for sure. Probably going to roll Marchenko, as they do give up more to the winger position than any other. Like, they are the worst ranked against right wing. Big thing about Marchenko, he's not been a big ladder guy. That's been his only problem. But he does have history last year against this Vancouver team, who's definitely worse in every category compared to last year. So when you're playing on the road, he's got this 1 3-point game against Minnesota. I would consider that an outlier. On Saturday's most recent couple games, so dating to this year only, he's got 3 and 1 points. So on Saturday games, he has not missed so far. He's 100%, 4 for 4, with the outlier being that 3-point game. But like I said, I do think that there's some room to capitalize, considering that they are the worst in just about everything, to goals, assists, points, and shots. I do think that this is an opportunity for him to really climb the ladder. So we're going to take a look here. Not really interested in Werenski. He's a home merchant, unfortunately. He's 2 of 7 already this year. He only hit 50% of last year. Even on Saturdays, he's 3 for 4 this year. But which was the game that he missed? Was the Pittsburgh game. Got 0. He also contributed. He had the 3 points along with Marchenko at Minnesota. Minnesota, they've been bad this year. So to me, there's much more room to exploit Marchenko at still under 200 price than Werenski, who does not have the same matchup, but also carries the same way. Because to me, how are you going to rate these guys the same? But he's got 6 games in a row that he's on a streak, and Werenski's got 0. He's missed the last 2 back-to-back on the road against 2 teams that are really not that good. New York Islanders, they give up a ton of goals, and Calgary, they give up a reasonable amount of goals, but you can't say for lack of effort. He did have 5 shots on goal. Spent a ton of time on the ice, though. 28 minutes, and he couldn't generate a single point. So that's rough. So definitely going to go with Marchenko today. This one could be these 2 could be a fun 2 right here to round off the late night games. I mean, my goodness. Can't say enough about these 2 teams right now. You've got 2 of the actual hottest teams on the planet in Anaheim Ducks versus VGK. Ducks going to be on the road. Take a look and see how this matchup plays out. Here we go. Yeah, they've got this a pretty tight game. 57% of the money is on Vegas 43% on Anaheim. Got good value here on the Anaheim money line. On the road, they've been spectacular. They've been 5-2-1. And Vegas at home, they've been 4-2-1. They've been great too. So against the spread, it's kind of a reverse spread. 8-5 here, 5-8 here, 2-5 at home. So they've not been very good against the spread at home. As in, they're not really blowing teams out. You know, they're kind of escaping with wins. And here, they've been escaping with wins. That's exactly what this tells me. So this game could be very interesting because you've got, you know, two guys. I want to see who's projected to be in the net for them. Oh, I need to see this. Yep, Dostal, very good goalie. Doesn't quite allow 3 a game, but 7-3-1, been rock solid for them, over 900 save percentage. And then you've got Akira Schmid, who, by all accounts, he's been very good. I cannot slander him in any way. He's been very good. Doesn't even allow 2.5 a game. He's 6-1 currently, over 900 save percentage. He does have a shutout on his resume so far this year. This is not a game I think I'm going to look to target. This could be one way or the other. They could not score any goals towards the back end, or they could just completely explode. And the one thing you got to look at here is, what do the prices look like? Cutter, he's I want to say still your line 2 guy for Anaheim. Yep, ever since Chris Kreider came back, he did push Cutter to the second line, which that second line has been spectacular. Along with the first line, Chris Kreider makes a huge difference, especially on that power play. Leo Carlsson has been unbelievable. He's taken a huge step forward already. Really like those guys. VGK, they are a good defensive team so far. And like, he's taken a big step forward from last year to this year. I mean, look at that. He was only 31 of 82 last year. This year, he's already at 10 of 13. So you can't even compare these numbers right here, which is somewhat how Prop Finder takes into account from last year. You know, this Ducks team is not even the same. You can't even look at them the same way. This game, holy cow, he's minus 500 to score a point. I think I'm good, my brother. That ain't gonna work. So Vegas Golden Knights, take a look what their lines look like. You got Mitch Marner with Jack Eichel on that top line. Obviously, they're going to play the same power play together. That power play is, yep, they're going to be playing next to each other. They play together. They do a lot of back and forth. He has been your sniper. I mean, from just about all areas. So I can definitely see, I can see a couple things playing out tonight. I think this is going to be a game that's going to be more fun to watch than it's going to be more fun to bet on. So I'm probably going to keep my money tucked away for this one, but I'm definitely going to watch this game for sure. Because neither of these teams are playing bad defensively. I mean, they're pretty tight. I can see two scenarios. Either one, a closer low scoring game, or two, VGK could run away with it. So, but I think they're counting on that with the pricing here. You got a minus 500 and a minus 400 on your two guys right here. And I think that's pretty disrespectful considering how well Anaheim has been playing in, all facets of the game. So that's what makes me believe if you're going to way overprice these guys, I don't think that there's going to be a ton of scoring, because normally when it's so saturated like this, it normally leads to disappointment. So I'm going to stay away from that. Should be a really good game, though. I think it should be a really tight game. You got Colorado at Edmonton. Both teams are pretty mid defensively. There's really not a ton of value to be had here. You got Nietzsche that's been playing with him. He's been playing awesome all year. They had definitely took they needed a few days off. They were beginning to kind of vent some frustrations, and they weren't playing to the best of their abilities, their potential. Playing away, shoo, he's been pretty good. Just let it sit there for a bit. I mean, that's, you take the win away. But Saturday game's been okay. Nah, pretty mid. Yeah, for a guy that's minus 250. I know they're allowing 2.3 points per game, but I would expect a little bit better. Obviously, I'm not playing Nathan McKinnon at minus 400. If you're going to take anything, it's probably going to be his assists. On the road, maybe not. Like I said, I don't really worry too much about head-to-head. This doesn't really have much to do with anything this year. Pretty good turnover amongst both teams so far, as far as how their lineups go. So I wouldn't even really worry about that. Now, Wyatt Johnson, top line. He had 3 assists against them last game. Robert Thomas, top line guy. Braden Shen, he bounces between line 1, line 2. I do think that there is some exploitable factors here, but I'm not really interested in playing it at, wow. So they have him at a minus 150. That may get played. I'm not gonna lie, I'd have to find a pretty nice pair for that, because you don't see Nathan McKinnon at a assist for that cheap very often. Saturday games, yeah, he's been less of a facilitator so far this year, and he's actually been really involved in the scoring department. Definitely got a lot more goals than he has, especially last year. As you can see, last year he only scored, 38% last year, but the assists were much more rampant, especially at home. He did, yeah, exactly, nearly 70% at home. He was much better. So definitely taken a shift this year for Mac. He's obviously a shooting guy at home. We know that. He loves shooting at home. Away, but I think that this is going to be another good game to watch. I don't think it's going to be a great game to put your money on. Good game to watch, but these teams, they don't really play pretty good together. We check out the matchup. I believe normally they were a little more high scoring. Yeah. So you got 5-4, 4-3. The most current games. I don't look too far into their history. Edmonton blows them out. Colorado blows them out. Edmonton blows them out. Then you got, 2 close overtime games. So, I mean, this game is going to be a complete, we don't know. You truly don't know. So, yeah. This is just going to be a let's just watch and have fun game. All right, and I did say I was going to drop my favorite prop for football. So let me recap this real quick. Got Jesper Bratt for a point. Really like him, playing well so far. Going against the Pittsburgh team that he does have good history against, and he does play good against them on the weekend. Got Trevor Zegras. He is playing at home against Ottawa, who's been a very lacking defensive team. Plays extremely well at home, 85% over his last 20 games, which is 17 out of 20. So really like him today. Wyatt Johnson, fantastic value for centering that top line. He's been very good here recently. Got a nice little streak going here. I do like him to make a statement after a loss against Anaheim. Robert Thomas, this could potentially be a smash spot. Like I said, Seattle's going to be without its best goalie defensively. Although they've been pretty good this year, they're definitely worse on the road than they are at home. So I do like the history here that Robert Thomas has, and the fact that he does play much better at home. Like I said, 72% at home. He was hurt for a little bit this year, but he's hit 3 games in a row at home. I like the way that looks for him. Nick Schmaltz, I do like the opportunity that this defense presents him. He's going to see Sam Montembeault, who allows about 4 goals a game. His away splits have been pretty good. He's on the top line with Logan Cooley, the better offensive generator between him and Barrett Hayton. So I do like that opportunity that he's going to have today playing with him. He's been very good on the road this year, and Montreal as a whole normally allow anywhere from 3 to 5 goals a game. So I do think there's a potential for him to really climb that ladder here. Like I said, he has a reasonable history against them. He's 2 for 2 at home and away scoring. Can't always look at that, but it is nice to know that he has good history against most of those core guys. William Nylander, he's my guy. Can't stress it enough. He's arguably going to be one of the plays of the day right here. Marchand going against a tired San Jose team that just played a very hard-fought, tough game yesterday. I do like them as a bounce-back team who also got their butt whooped against the Ducks. They do still give up a ton of points, and I do think that they're going to not necessarily take care of business, but they're going to come in there and they're going to do what they need to do to escape with a win. He's on the line that he played in the playoffs where they generated a ton of offense. So I do like that gang's together on the top line. Then we got Marchenko to round us out. Epitome of consistency. He's going to have a big opportunity against the backup goalie in Kevin Lankinen, who allows nearly 4 goals a game. They're missing a few. A lot of their guys are listed out right here, which is a big loss for them. I mean, most of these guys being defensemen. So taking that into consideration when I think that, you know, for the price right here, under minus 200, that he could be a big-time contributor. So these are the guys right here. Really like them a lot. As far as the pairs and how I'm going to play them later, I'm going to give that to the Discord. We're going to play most of these guys tonight. We will have a long shot, so someone who's not been listed in the actual favorites, but as like a co-favorite for value, we will be playing them later. But take a look at some NFL, just to wrap this up. So it's really going to be a two-way thing, but unfortunately it's coming from my own team. So my team, the New England Patriots, we have been nothing short of spectacular so far this year. A big part of our weaknesses in the defense is two things. We give up a ton of receiving props to the running back position, and we give up a ton of receiving props to the tight end position. I'm not really interested in playing Cade Otton for really what he's worth. I don't see that being, you know, a big smash spot for him. He's not a super athletic guy. I don't think that he's going to be seeing a ton of targets. But Rachaad White, without Bucky Irving, that is a very, I hate to call it a smash spot, but it is. So Rachaad White, not interested in his anytime touchdowns, just to get me here. His receptions and receiving are going to be big time. Because without Bucky Irving, and this is nearly plus money for his receptions, and 18.5, minus 115. I mean, and this is big time right here. In games without Bucky Irving, he's been pretty good. And the Patriots, we give up a ton to the running back here. 50 to Bijan. No, don't get me wrong, he's very dynamic, but he caught 8 balls for 50 yards. Tony Pollard, he's not even a receiving back at all. Normally it's Tajay Spears. He caught 6 for 43. You got Alvin Kamara. He does catch a bunch. He's 5 for 45. I mean, it's green all over the place. So my big play here is going to have to be exploiting the receptions or receiving yards for Rachaad White. I'll let you make your own determination. But New England is number 1 in giving up receptions to running backs. And primarily we do see a lot of the running back 1 because 1, we don't give up much rushing. We have not allowed a single 50-yard rusher on the year. So with that in mind, what does that tell you? They're going to have to find ways to generate small run plays in the offense, which normally comes in the way of screens and swing passes. Just some quick stuff to the running back to get him, try and get him in space, which Rachaad White is not a big space guy. You know, he's a bigger back, but he's got good hands. So he's not going to, break a bunch of tackles. He's not going to sit there and, shake and bake and really, create his own play in space. But I do trust him to get plenty of catches. For me, this is probably going to be one of my favorite plays on Sunday that I'm 100% going to take in a slip. And I'll probably run him up to 6. So for me, even though Prop Finder doesn't rate him very heavy, I'm not worried about that. I personally am very high on him this game because, one, they're going to be without Bucky Irving. They're going to be without Chris Godwin. So they're going to have to find ways to generate, run style plays that aren't your traditional, run avenues. So I think that there's going to be a ton of play action. There's going to be some dump passes, to try and get Rachaad White the ball. And I think that this is a fantastic way to look at it. I think that this is going to be big time. And for nearly even money, it seems like a pretty free play to me. So that's what I'm rolling with. The Discord's going to get the full slip of what else I'm going to add along with it to make it an official play. But that's going to be all for me. I truly hope that you guys were able to learn something, just kind of see things from a different way. That's all I got for you. I really love giving out this information. Really love breaking down the slates and kind of sharing information that isn't readily available at the click of a button on most occasions. So hope you guys have a great Saturday, great weekend, and I'll be putting out some plays for the Discord. If you want to see that, go ahead and find my socials that are listed right here at the top, and you will be able to get the link to join the Discord.